Hey, it's Katie
and Liv.
Welcome to our first episode.
We are so excited that you're here. And to get started, we want to give you a little introduction. So Katie and I are the founders of Inner Glow Circle and this podcast, of course. And before we jump in, we want to tell you a little bit about how we got here and why we're so passionate about training six-figure certified coaches.
So passionate. So let's start with the story of how we met. Do you want to go first?
Okay, so like any good story, I was dating this guy.
Okay. Yeah, every story from Liv starts with, so I was dating this guy.
Oh my God, but actually I was, and as not great of a relationship as it was, it created our relationship. So it's not the worst story ever. Okay. So I was at a baseball game with this guy I was dating. He was actually one of the coaches, and I'm sitting there talking to the other coach's girlfriend.
Yep. I remember all this.
She's asking me like a million questions. It was one of the weirdest experiences of my life, to be honest. These questions were so deep and probing. And I was like, wow, who is this chick? And like, how is she asking me all these questions?
Right. So of course you didn't know it at the time, but she was actually asking you coaching questions.
Exactly. So she was asking me all of these revealing questions. And even though we had just met, I felt like I was really, giving her interesting parts of my life that I'd never really shared with anyone else.
Oh, she's getting you to get vulnerable.
Yeah.
So you trusted her.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
So just so we have a reference point here, when was this convo actually going down?
Yeah. So this was back in 2013.
Okay.
When I was living in DC and I was dating. You remember?
Yeah. So I just want to make sure I remember, obviously, I just want to make sure our audience is in the loop. So this was 8 years ago now.
8 years ago. So long story short, I'm telling this random person at a baseball game my entire life story, full of complaints, how I hated my job as a public school teacher. I've been working on creating this after school program for teen girls and how that's what I really wanted to be doing. And, it goes on and on.
So wait, when do I come into the story?
Oh, this is the Olivia show. Okay. So as I'm talking, she's like, you really remind me of this girl, Katie. She's in my life coaching certification program. And at first I was like, what is life coaching certification? But I was honestly desperate at the time, and you sounded really cool. And if you were like me, like obviously really cool. So I connected with Katie and I hired her as my life coach, and the rest is history.
The rest is kind of history. So to be clear, you hired me as your certified life coach.
Yeah.
And before we get into all of that history, I'm actually so flattered that she introduced us rather than just working with you directly. She was a great coach too. And I love that image of her like grilling you on the sidelines at a baseball game.
She was really in alignment. Like she just had this comforting sense. And I just felt instantly like I could trust her and that you were like the next best step I could take.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in the middle of my coach training certification back in 2013. And one of my colleagues said she had a potential client to introduce me to. Turns out it was Liv. And we worked together as coach and client for 2 years before I started IGC. Then she came on as our director of training and eventually became a co-founder and now our CEO. Ba-boom, ching. So Liv, I've worked with at this point thousands of clients over the years. So have you. What do you think really connected us?
Other than the baseball game, girl? I mean, like bonded us?
Yeah, like bonded us, like glued us together. You know what I mean?
Totally. So I think from the beginning, we had a really shared vision, like not only for our personal lives, but for what we wanted to, create in the world. And I think we have extremely high standards, but we also, know how to have fun and kind of, even make our challenges interesting and a good experience.
Yeah, it's definitely our style and our approach. And I think that people are sometimes people are either super fun, but don't take themselves seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there has to be some contrast. And I think we really found that, or like you said, they may have super high standards, but aren't relatable.
Right, exactly.
And so we really feel like we really filled in each other's gaps. So like Katie, you came from a big family business. and had so much experience in business and sales and marketing. And I have a master's in education, and really working with people and obviously teaching. I did that for years before coaching. And we were really able to combine our skills to create this really badass curriculum that helps our students succeed, actually get paying clients, and hit that six-figure mark, by being truly incredible coaches.
Yeah, exactly. When I used to take sales calls for coach training, I always used to tell the story of when I got my coaching certification back in the day. And it was an excellent program in so many ways. But out of 20 students that were in my group, there were like 3 of us who had paying clients. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And when I got into coaching, like, thank God I was working with you, because my coach training program covered coaching, but nothing to do with business or marketing or sales.
Right. So you had to like piece together your own coaching curriculum by having a business coach while also being in coach training.
Right. And it was very a la carte. And I think
fancy.
Even in starting IGC, like one of the, things in immersing yourself in the coaching world was that we realized that a lot of people could either coach, but not do business, or they were great at business, but they lacked confidence in any coaching skills.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's why when I started IGC, I wanted there to be such a big focus on teaching our students how to get hired. And the other thing is, you and I both really, really believe that the best marketing is being really, really great at what you do. That's how you get referrals. That's how you get your clients to rehire you again and again, to come back after years and years and say, hey, are you still available? So yeah, this is a whole thing.
This is a whole thing for us. Like, I feel like this is the common thread really that has kept us bonded over time, is that, we understand the ins and outs of the coaching industry, and we agree on like our core values in regards to that.
Our stance on the coaching industry.
Yeah.
Do you want to go there?
Are we ready to go there?
Let's go there a little bit.
Okay. I mean, listen, if you're here, you've probably been perusing coaching or personal development or self-help or whatever you want to call it.
Or getting retargeted by ads.
So we know that there are so many courses out there that are taught by celebrities or micro celebrities, and, they look great, but the reality is, you often don't finish the course because there's no accountability, or you get to the end of the course and you're like, I have no idea what happened or what I even learned.
Right.
Like, was this a speech? Was this a curriculum? Like, what happened here?
Right. Yeah. Or you're not confident in your skills because there's no level of assessment or feedback. Like, in our program, not to like fast forward completely, but in our program, you get assessed by our teachers and you get feedback from our trainers. And some of that feedback is really positive so that you know what you're doing right and you can keep doing what's working. And then some of it's constructive so that you can get better and improve. And most courses don't come with that.
Totally. And I think that the, course industry is amazing and you have access to everything. But I would ask you this, if you're listening now, it's like, what are the courses that you've taken that you learned something, but you never took action on? And, what actually blocked you from taking the action? And doing tons of research over the past 8 years, we've really found that it comes to, it really comes down to confidence in their skills.
Yeah. Like, how many times have you taken a course where you have no idea what the outcomes are,
right,
what you're actually walking away with? It just has like a really cute title. And then like one of my biggest issues with courses and programs coming from a business background and growing up having business conversations around the dinner table is that a lot of these courses don't get you an ROI, a return on your investment, or they don't teach you how to get an ROI.
Or they don't even teach you what an ROI means.
Or they don't even teach you what ROI means. ROI is return on investment. And we believe that anytime you make an investment, you want to get something out of it, right? But you also want to like plan, what do you intend to get out of this investment? So if you're making a $100 investment, do you want to make back $200, right? So we really want to help our students figure that out. And we work with our students, starting with their onboarding materials before class even starts, to make sure that they're challenging themselves to get hired, to get paying clients, and to get that return on investment as they go through the course.
Absolutely. And, you know, everyone wants to make money back on their investment.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a training course or anything else. And
we want our students to make back their money. We want to see them thrive and succeed. And
totally. And the more they are succeeding, the more lives they are changing. And to be honest, like, that's what everyone comes to coaching for.
Right.
I mean, the money is just, you know, what keeps you, you know, sustained as a business and as a human.
Right.
But I've never even read like an application to our program that was about money. It was about impact. It was about change. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, we think that those things go hand in hand. And when you're delivering a really excellent service, you deserve to be very well paid for that. And so, yeah, all of our classes, we really focus on getting hired and getting paid clients right away, and, you know, challenge our students to, you know, come to class every week and kind of workshop what's working and what isn't, and, you know, cheer for each other. But like, all of this came to fruition from really, like, I'm going back a little bit, but like when you first started IGC, we had a team of 20 coaches, all who had gone through different training programs, all that were coming to us to try to help fill those gaps.
There's a real lack of business training in most coaching certifications. And that's what inspired us to create ours the way that we did. And yeah, of course, like Liv said, we really want our students to have paying clients because we want them to be making money and we want their investment to make sense. But we also want them to be able to bring these situations and scenarios to class where, you know, they can discuss every week, like what's working, what's not working, and troubleshoot along the way and discuss where they might need help. So in summary, this is really a love story between a teacher and an entrepreneur right here.
Sure. So Katie, you were obviously the original founder of IGC. I'm not going to take that away from you.
Oh, thanks.
And back in 2015, like, you weren't even 30 yet. Like, that's crazy.
I was 27.
Woo. Well, I guess I was 28 then, but age doesn't really matter. I think it's a bold decision to start a company at any age, whether it's 17 or 70, but like, what was the thing that made you like decide to start IGC, and like really activate that idea?
Activate my idea, voice activate, idea activate. It's really one of our core values. We say it all the time and our students love to post about it. Someone posted it the other day and tagged me, which I loved. And they like to say it to their clients, but it came from something I've always encouraged people to do, and something I challenged myself to do, which is to create the thing you wish existed in the world.
I love that one. Still a fave. We need t-shirts with that.
Yeah, such a good one. And I really believe that we're happiest as people when we create what we wish existed in the world, instead of complaining or being bummed out about what we don't have or what the world's lacking, which is plenty. Like, our best bet is to just get out there and create it.
Sure. That's our superpower, right? We can focus on the limitations or we can focus on our creative power. So, you know, we continue to make it happen ourselves, but, you know, you're really the one who kind of set that tone for us, I would say.
Oh yeah, I know. But I think it's all about taking our destinies into our own hands and really, like I said, creating the thing we wish existed. And, you know, you've continued to do the same thing. And I think every year we continue to create what we wish existed in the coaching industry, in our company, for our team, for our students. Like, when you have your own business, you have a platform and a place to like feed this fire and create what you wish existed out there.
Right. And I think, similar to probably a lot of people listening, you were getting a lot of signs, like, from the universe and from your life, that like you had to move forward. You had to take another step. Like, I
had hired a coach, like a health coach. And I just remember feeling like, God, I wish I could do what she does. And
that's how I felt when I hired you. I was like, wait, I want to do that.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. So one of the key events in IGC's history that really elevated you, Olivia, to your co-founder status was when we made the decision to become an accredited coach training organization. Can you tell us a little bit about what the International Coaching Federation is and what it actually means to even get accredited?
Sure. So the International Coach Federation, or the ICF, not to be confused with IGC. We know there's a lot of acronyms. Just like any industry, truly. But the International Coaching Federation is really the boss when it comes to coaching companies and training companies. They were founded in 1995, and they're really the only leading global organization for coaches and coaching schools, with a focus on the education component and also the ethics of the coaching industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, the best analogy is when lawyers get approved by the bar. Basically, the ICF is like the bar for coaches.
Yeah. Like they go to law school and then they have to take, the bar exam from their state or whatever. Right. So
Yeah,
similar,
exactly.
like we teach education, then you can get or we teach coaching, and then you can get credentialed by the ICF once you've completed your training.
It's really like these two layers of certification.
I thought of it kind of as like checks and balances, really.
Yeah.
Which is great. So they're all about advancing, coaching as a profession. And I would also say like a very respected profession.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
I do think that coaching can sometimes get a bad rap, and really partnering with the ICF and having that level of training. Our students say it makes them feel more legit. I think it makes us feel more legit. So.
Mm-hmm. So how do they do that? Like, I know, but can you tell everyone else so we're on the same page here?
Yeah, sure. So the ICF provides independent certification. So basically what that means is when one of our students gets certified by IGC, then they can take that, certificate of training and go to the ICF. They have to take their test, which you kind of compare to the bar exam. And, once they pass that, they are both an Inner Glow Circle certified coach and graduate, and they'll also have their credential from the ICF. And, we were talking a little bit before about like confidence and how our students feel really confident because there are live assessment and evaluations built in, and they do get feedback on their coaching. So they know that they're going out there and killing it. Like the ICF also requires recorded calls, right? So they're checking in to make sure that, coaches are truly doing ethical and good, excellent coaching.
Yeah, it's really about doing your due diligence. Okay. And then, so as an ICF coach, you get listed on their site, you get access to continuing education. So
Totally. Tons of professional development.
Perks. So Liv, what made you decide that we had to become accredited? Because we went back and forth for a while.
Yeah, we did go back and forth for a while. So we had started training in 2015, and then by kind of the second half of 2016 was when we, made the call. But, people were asking us for it. Like we were doing tons of sales calls, tons of enrollment conversations, and, people liked our style and our approach and the access to different trainers from, different niches and backgrounds and all of that. And I think it's fun and relatable, and all, we do get a lot of women that enjoy learning in an all women environment. And, the community aspect. But the one thing that we were lacking that just kept coming up was like, are you accredited? Can I get my ICF credential if I go through your program? And I think that at the time when coaching really started booming, especially online coaching, people wanted a way to stand out. They wanted a way, like I said, to feel legitimate. And one of the things that you taught me was like, we have our opinions, but the business talks to us, right? And a lot of our messages about what to do next in business were coming from, our community and our students.
Yeah, and our prospective clients.
Yeah.
And at the time, which this is still going on, there were a lot of people popping up saying they had their own quote unquote method of coaching. And as a consumer, it's hard. It's confusing. You have no idea whether that method is legitimate, whether it's going to teach you everything you need in every like random situation that you can be in when you're intimately working with people in their lives. You don't know if it's ethical. You don't know if it's effective. You don't know if it's inclusive. And we wanted to distinguish ourselves by saying, yes, we have our own method, but we also teach all the basics.
Sure.
We walk you through what ethical coaching is and isn't, what to do in every tricky situation you might run into. We're approved by this internationally recognized governing body. We have to renew our credential and our accreditation with them, right? Like we have to stay on top of this. So if we're on top of it, then we're going to make sure you as a coach are also on top of your stuff.
Right. So this is a pitch for our training.
It is?
Just kidding. No, but it's like a full 62 hours of what the ICF calls approved coach specific training. So we cover all of the core competencies, or what I would call from a teaching background, like learning outcomes.
Right.
And, teach you every single thing you need to know about coaching and how to handle client situations and requests. And then also, of course, all of the hours of training we have on setting up discovery calls or coaching consultations, marketing, sales, branding, all of that. And one of the things we also say is, like, you do need to be prepared to coach anyone around anything.
Exactly.
And I think, a lot of our students have gone to very niched trainings and then come to us for, the business and also the, more comprehensive coaching skills.
Right.
And like, just tying it all back in, like, that's, a true confidence booster, and helps people reach those 6-figure marks or whatever your first goal is as a coach.
Yeah. So as a certified coach, like, you have to learn how to run your coaching sessions, how to do sales calls. It's funny, new students always ask us, what do I even say when I get on the phone with a client? And we teach you just that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the barriers that people are like, oh, I'm really good at cooking. I want to be a health coach or something. And it's like, okay, you may have great recipes or workouts, but what are you actually going to do when you get on that call or when you meet for that session? Right. And not really knowing and understanding how to facilitate that. And we will have an episode coming up all about discovery calls or consultations. So stay tuned. But, it can be a big barrier to even, putting yourself out there or trying to book sales calls.
I know for me, like, I had no idea. I had worked with 2 different coaches before I went through my coach training certification myself. And I had no idea what to say on my first coaching call until I got certified and went through training. And I remember I had so many notes on my first coaching sales call, which was 8 years ago. And when that first client hired me for $500 a month, my jaw almost hit the floor, because I was like, what? I had really stuck to the notes that I had gotten in training and added in my own sales, approach from my years working for different sales organizations. And it worked.
Yeah.
And we literally have used these early scripts that you and I developed for ourselves in our coach training curriculum. And it's incredible because it works.
I mean, our IGC coaches now are averaging a 60% plus close rate, right? And they're using variations of the scripts that, started back in the day and can kind of be applied. So now, I mean, we've trained and graduated thousands of students. And we have 100% pass rate of our students on the ICF exam so far, right? So it's kind of crazy.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this podcast, Katie? Obviously we needed to introduce ourselves, the story of IGC and some of our core values and beliefs, but what got us here? Let's go there.
Yeah, the coaching world has so much possibility, and it's so open and ripe for opportunity, but it's also a total guessing game.
Yeah. And I think I'd say Instagram or even TikTok makes it look so easy, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, becoming a life coach is a little bit scary when you try to go out on your own.
Yeah, we have so many students that come to us who are like, I've been trying to figure this out on my own for a year, 2 years, 3 years, or like you said earlier, even went to another coach training program that didn't have any business or sales training, or went to a super niche program. And as they, have the experience of being a health coach for their first 6 months or first year, they're like, okay, but now people are talking to me about relationship issues, or they're also talking to me about work and business. And they're like, I need a more general coach training. And that's why we say we believe you have to be able to coach anyone around anything.
Totally. And you have to be, ethically aligned as well about what coaching is and isn't, and what conversations you actually are ethically, allowed to be in as a coach versus some other type of practitioner.
Yeah.
So Katie, like, what is the premise of the podcast?
We want to showcase six-figure coaches. There's so many people out there who are telling their stories of how they're making 6, 7, 8 figures, and that's incredible. But what we think is really amazing is getting to showcase you many stories, telling many, many stories of people who are succeeding as certified life coaches.
Totally. So this podcast is not just going to be about Katie and I. It's going to really be stories of success from six-figure life coaches and sharing their, what we would call six-figure lives, right?
Right.
Because it's not always, it's hitting the six-figure mark as a coach is just such a thing, right? We've seen the ads for it. We get the emails about it. And so I would say it's almost like a little bit of a play on words here in the title of our podcast, and hitting six figures and beyond is amazing. And we're going to feature coaches who have done that. But we also, want to share stories of what else changed when people pursued their passion, what else changed when people finally leapt into their calling or answered that call, right? And what other areas of their life really became quote unquote six figures.
Right. So for a lot of people, and we'll tell some of these stories, it's, buying houses, it's getting that dream car that they've always wanted. It's getting into the new relationship, getting married or engaged, leaving that relationship that they knew they needed to leave. We've heard so many stories like this over the years. And so the bank account is important, and we really believe in financial prosperity, obviously. And it's also about, like Liv said, having this six-figure life and really understanding what that represents for you, because what it is for me or for Liv is different than you and every single person. So we're going to be asking people what other areas of their lives have really taken off since they started coaching as a career.
Totally. And I think what you will also find really interesting and really inspiring. So of course, we're going to offer you that education piece and tell you the how, right? But I think what's also going to be really inspiring about this podcast is all of the kind of origin stories of our different coaches and members of the IGC community, like women from all walks of life, ages, ethnicities, niche areas, and really taking their life experience and their professional experience and, putting all the pieces together to create a beautiful business that actually, changes lives that change other lives.
Change lives that change other lives.
Yeah.